GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action. Live from the GMNA News Center, this is the Lunch Break News Hour.
Good afternoon, I'm CJ Waterhouse. A restaurant burned early this morning and paramedics have just voted down a provincial deal. Traffic is clear, though bridge repairs begin tonight and a 16-day river shoreline cleanup kicks off tomorrow. Over to you, Jeff.
Bell Center guided tour commenced daily at 10 a.m., lasting 30 minutes, priced at $15, offering behind-the-scenes access to the arena and locker rooms.
Groups of up to 12 can join, tours are offered in English and French, and reservations are recommended through the Bell Center website or ticket desk.
Saturday evenings feature a special lighting exhibition inside the arena, highlighting historic championship moments, while visitors receive a complimentary program booklet documenting the venue's milestones.
Lots to get to. Let's begin our afternoon show, diving into the news and stories that matter to Montreal. Here are our top stories.
A fire erupted at a Montreal restaurant just after 2 a.m. Monday, prompting police and firefighters to respond to the blaze. Authorities are investigating the cause. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
The blaze erupted just after 1:59 in the early hours, sending thick black smoke curling from the kitchen of a downtown eatery. Firefighters arrived within minutes, battling flames that quickly licked the building's wooden facade. By the time police units rolled in, the fire was under control, but investigators were already combing through charred remnants for clues. No injuries were reported, and the restaurant staff were escorted to safety as crews worked to prevent the fire from spreading to neighboring storefronts. Authorities said the cause remains under investigation, and the scene will stay secured while forensic teams gather evidence. The incident underscores the rapid response capabilities of both fire and police services in the city. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Montreal.
Animal welfare group alleges mistreatment at St. Hyacint's major livestock auction, raising concerns over practices at one of Quebec's largest markets. The investigation continues. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
Inside the bustling aisles of St. Hyacint's livestock auction, a provincial animal protection group says it has documented several instances of mistreatment. The organization, which monitors animal welfare across Quebec, alleges that some cattle and pigs were handled roughly, left without adequate water, and confined in overcrowded pens during the early morning sales. Officials at the auction, which ranks among the province's largest, have faced growing scrutiny from advocacy groups demanding stricter oversight. While the auction remains a key economic hub for local farmers, the allegations have prompted calls for independent inspections and clearer standards for handling and transport. The situation is still under review as authorities consider the group's findings. The auction's management has not yet responded publicly to the claims, and the Provincial Agriculture Ministry says it will evaluate the report. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, St. Hyacinthe.
Quebec's cannabis growers face limited shelf space at the government-run SQDC despite a robust provincial market. Only a handful of local producers secure retail placement, constraining growth opportunities. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
Only a handful of Quebec growers are seeing their brands on the shelves of the province's government-run cannabis retailer, the SQDC, even as the overall market posts solid sales. Producers say they must navigate a limited allocation system that favors a select group of suppliers, leaving many boutique farms waiting for a slot. The SQDC, which controls all legal retail outlets, distributes inventory based on criteria that are not publicly detailed, and space on its shelves remains scarce. As a result, several cultivators report having to divert product to the wholesale channel or hold inventory without a clear path to consumers. The situation is prompting discussions within the industry about how to broaden access to retail placement. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Montreal.
Paramedics in Montreal and Laval voted 60% against a tentative agreement with the Quebec government announced last month. The vote took place on August 9, 2026. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
Paramedics in both Montreal and Laval have turned down a tentative deal with the province, with roughly 60% of members voting against it on August 9th. The agreement, which the Quebec government had negotiated the month before, was meant to address wages and working conditions, but the majority of the workforce said it fell short. Union leaders said members felt the proposal didn't meet the financial security they were seeking, prompting the vote to reject it. The outcome puts pressure on the provincial authorities to return to the table and renegotiate terms that satisfy the frontline responders. The vote was taken during a joint meeting of the two municipal services. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Montreal.
Quebec farmers are harvesting a record sweet corn surplus that exceeds store capacity, pushing consumer prices lower, while abundant yields of other vegetables keep farm earnings strong. Colette Barbeau has the full story.
Fields stretch across the countryside as trucks load bunched ears of golden sweet corn, the biggest haul the province has seen this summer. Farmers say the crop outstripped the shelves of local markets, pushing prices down for shoppers. While corn piles high, nearby farms report bumper harvest of tomatoes, peppers, and beans, keeping overall farm income solid despite the corn surplus. After a sluggish opening to the season, the corn season turned around in early July, delivering yields that dwarf last year's numbers. Vendors across town are marking the corn section with lower tags, while growers point to strong sales of other vegetables as a buffer against the price dip. Colette Barbeau, GMNA News, Quebec. Later we'll dive into the 16-day river shoreline cleanup effort kicking off this week, plus more local updates. We will be right back. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Welcome back. Morissette, a Quebec environmental group, will launch a 16-day cleanup of the St. Lawrence River shoreline in Montreal, aiming to curb pollution that threatens whales, turtles, and other wildlife. Ramai Gaudreau has the full story.
Volunteers from the Morissette group have kicked off a 16-day sweep of the St. Lawrence River shoreline here in Montreal. Teams are combing the banks, pulling debris, and sorting recyclables to strip the waterway of the litter that's been choking local marine life. Organizers say the effort targets the pollutants that have been harming whales, turtles, and a host of other species that call the river home. Over the coming weeks, crews will rotate through key access points, from the historic Old Port to quieter residential stretches, aiming to restore a cleaner habitat for the ecosystem. The community hopes the intensive push will curb the tide of waste before it reaches deeper waters. Ramai Gaudreau, GMNA News, St. Lawrence.
Nighttime gunfire erupted in Montreal's Rivière-des-Prairies and St. Mitchell neighborhoods, with the SPVM confirming no arrests have been made. Police are investigating the incidents. Ramai Gaudreau has the full story.
Shots rang out after dark in the Rivière-des-Prairies and St. Mitchell neighborhoods, prompting a swift police response. Officers arrived to find scattered shell casings and residents shaken, but no immediate victims identified. The Montreal Police Service confirmed that investigations are ongoing, but no arrests have been made at this stage. Neighborhood watch groups reported hearing multiple bursts of gunfire between 10 and midnight, with some bystanders calling emergency services as the echoes faded. Police are canvassing the areas, reviewing surveillance footage and speaking with witnesses to piece together what sparked the incidents. Authorities have asked anyone with information to come forward, though no further details have been released. Ramai Gaudreau, GMNA News, Rivière-des-Prairies.
St. Pie Council voted Thursday to set aside a land reserve on the 57-year-old Sanair racetrack for a potential new high school, sparking community tension. Nadia Bellafuel has the full story.
Council members gathered on August 8, 2026, and voted to set aside a portion of the 57-year-old Sanair racetrack as a land reserve for a possible new high school. The decision earmarks the historic track in St. Pie for future educational use, though the move has sparked tension among residents who cherish the venue's racing heritage. Officials said the reserve provides a clear site for the school while leaving the remainder of the property available for other purposes. Community groups are already voicing concerns, fearing the loss of a long-standing local landmark. The council will now work with the school board to assess feasibility and timeline for construction. Nadia Bellafuel, GMNA News, St. Pie. Police officers intervened at Maisonneuve Elementary School courtyard on Monday evening, ordering 3 pre-adolescent boys playing soccer to leave after 2 patrol cars arrived. Ramai Gaudreau has the full story.
2 police patrol cars rolled into the courtyard of Maisonneuve Elementary School just after 7 o'clock this evening. 5 officers stepped out, confronting 3 pre-adolescent boys who were in the middle of a soccer game. After a brief exchange, the officers ordered the youngsters to leave the schoolyard. A neighbor, identified as Noam Arbiaoui, watched as the teens were escorted out. The officers left a few minutes later, the field empty. The incident occurred in Hochelaga Maisonneuve, where the school serves many families. Officers arrived in 2 marked cars with flashing lights. Witnesses said the boys were simply kicking a ball when the police intervened. No injuries were reported, and the youths complied without resistance. The school administration was not present and gave no comment. Ramai Gaudreau, GMNA News, Hochelaga Maisonneuve.
Researchers have confirmed a tornado touched down in Repentigny, Quebec on Sunday, August 2nd, toppling trees and damaging several buildings in the Montreal suburb. Nadia Bellafuel has the full story.
Researchers have verified that a tornado made landfall in Repentigny on the 2nd of August, ripping through the northern suburb of Montreal. The brief but violent vortex knocked down dozens of trees, snapping branches that littered streets and crushing power lines. Several homes and small commercial structures suffered roof loss and shattered windows, leaving residents scrambling to clear debris. Meteorologists noted the storm's rapid rotation and hail accompaniment before it lifted, while local officials surveyed the damage and began cleanup efforts. No fatalities have been reported, though a handful of injuries required medical attention. The event marks a tornado occurrence in the region, prompting further study of weather patterns in the area. Nadia Bellafuel, GMNA News, Repentigny. Now let's check in with our meteorologist for the afternoon outlook across the region.
A deepening low and a fast western jet are priming Montreal for an afternoon shift toward clearing. On this date, the all-time high reached 34.4 degrees Celsius in 2025, a blistering spike that rode the tail of a late summer heat wave. The record low of 14.2 degrees Celsius fell in 2019 during an unusually early cold snap that followed a stalled Arctic front. Normal climatology hovers around a high of 26 and a low of 18, so today's temperatures sit comfortably between those historic extremes while the atmosphere remains unsettled. The live radar shows a band of moderate echo sliding southeast across the southern suburbs, centered over the St. Lawrence corridor. This cell is moving at roughly 25 kilometers per hour, driven by the strong western jet aloft, and will crest the island around 8 p.m. The echo thins quickly, leaving the city clear by 10 p.m. with no other signatures eastward. The rest of the region remains dry under a stable air mass. At noon, the sky is overcast, and the air feels damp at 22 degrees Celsius, with humidity near 82%. Pressure is falling, signaling that the unsettled system is still approaching from the west. The jet stream overhead streams at 159 kilometers per hour from the west, injecting momentum that will push the lingering cloud deck eastward this afternoon. By 3 p.m., sunshine will break through, nudging temperatures to 25 under a modest UV index of 4. Winds will gust up to 24 kilometers per hour from the southwest, enough to stir the canopy, but not to cause trouble. No rain is expected before sunset at 8:10 p.m., though a severe thunderstorm watch blankets the greater Montreal area, covering Chateauguay through Vaudreuil and the island itself, so remain aware of rapid storm development. Tuesday promises a clear sky with a high of 26 and a low of 16, a dry start to the week. Wednesday stays overcast, holding a high of 25 and a low of 18, with lingering moisture but no measurable rain. Thursday brings a return to sunshine and a 40% chance of rain in the late afternoon, temperatures peaking at 24 and dipping to 16 overnight. Friday clears again, offering a high of 21 and a low of 14, ideal for evening activities. Saturday mirrors Friday's temperatures, but with cloud cover returning, keeping the high at 21 and the low at 14, setting the stage for a quiet weekend. And that's your weather. Remember, the lunch break is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on Amazon Music or wherever you get your podcasts.
Up next, traffic highlights, tonight's Bell Center tour, and a quick look at the Canadiens' top under 25 prospect. We will be right back. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes, the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Partial closure on the Gagien-Ouimet Bridge is the only slowdown to note this morning. Southbound traffic on Autoroute Quinns between Laval and Boisbriand is reduced to a single lane as crews asphalt the deck. The bridge carries 20,000 vehicles, so the bottleneck is most felt during the morning rush. Expect a queue of roughly 15 minutes at peak, especially near the interchange with Boulevard St. Laurent. Motorists can divert to the Henry Bourassa overpass, which adds about 5 minutes but keeps flow moving. The work will continue through the afternoon and will not fully reopen until late tonight. All other major arteries, Autoroute 24 de Curie Sherbrooke and the downtown core are moving freely. Transit runs on schedule, no service interruptions have been reported. Later this evening, maintenance on the bridge will begin, but it will not affect current traffic. So if you're heading south, you might treat the delay as a coffee break or allow a little extra time.
Today's headline is the National Bank Open quarterfinal on center court at IGA Stadium, where the world's top men's tennis stars clash for a spot in the championship match, a must-watch moment promising drama and a glimpse of summer's next champion. Across town, Montreal pride is in full swing, filling streets with colorful parades, concerts, and after-hour parties that celebrate love and diversity for all. Music lovers can head to La Sauterenia on St. Laurent to catch Cheater Slicks, with an electric indie electro set that blends synths and gritty guitar, creating a vibrant vibe already buzzing around the neighborhood. Looking ahead, the last Montreal Country Music Festival arrives at Parc Jean-Drapeau later this week, featuring headliners Thomas Rhett and Mumford & Sons, promising toe-tapping tunes, food trucks, and outdoor fun for families. Stay tuned for more on the action happening now and the excitement building in the days ahead. And now here's Jason with sports.
Morning buzz, Habs prospects rise, goaltending optimism, and a Swiss loan shake-up. Volikin's VHL breakout lands him at 25 on Montreal's under-25 list, boasting a 25-10-5 record, a 1.51 goals against average and a 9.48% save rate in 40 games, plus 9 regular season and 3 playoff shutouts. He now challenges the backup goalie battle for next season. Price's confidence fuels the Habs championship chatter, insisting the club can contend for the Stanley Cup with a youthful net that includes emerging goaltenders. His endorsement validates the recent depth chart moves and signals that the young tandem will be pivotal as Montreal eyes a deep playoff run. The Canadiens have sent forward Vinzenz Rohrer to EV Zug in the Swiss National League for the remainder of the 2026-27 season. The 3-year entry-level deal he signed in June 2025 now includes valuable European ice time, sharpening his game before he returns to compete for a roster spot.
Good Food, the meal kit company on Rue de la Gauchetière in Ville-Marie, has entered creditor protection after its chief executive left after less than 6 months. The homegrown brand, known for delivering fresh, locally sourced recipes to kitchens across the island, now faces a restructuring that could reshape the food service landscape. With roughly 1,200 staff spread throughout Montreal, the uncertainty ripples beyond the office walls, touching delivery drivers, local farms, and neighborhood diners who rely on its weekly boxes. For many Montrealers, Good Food isn't just a convenient dinner solution, it's a symbol of the city's culinary ambition and the people who keep our tables full. City officials hope a restructuring will safeguard jobs and keep a homegrown option on Montreal tables. Coming up, we'll reveal Sina Catterall's move to Detroit's PWHL roster and hear Jean-François Cloutier's candidacy announcement. Stay tuned. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news. Montreal's Chinatown is alive today as the third annual Chinatown Day brings families, music and food to Kahetayan Lum Garden on Viger Avenue, right across from the Chinese hospital. The celebration highlights the district's rich heritage and growing cultural diversity. Carl Dumont is there. Carl Dumont.
Thanks CJ Waterhouse. I'm standing in Kahetayan Lum Garden, the green oasis tucked between Viger Avenue and de Bullion Street, across from the Montreal Chinese Hospital. Sunlight filters through bamboo arches, casting a lattice of shadows on the stone pathway where seniors in pastel cheongsams chat with indigenous elders, their laughter mixing with the beat of a djembe. Children dart between beds of lavender and chrysanthemum, while volunteers guide visitors through the garden's stories of Asian indigenous stewardship. On August 8, 2026, the third annual Chinatown Day kicks off with a dragon dance that coils around the gazebo, its scales glittering against the sky. Local musicians strum guzheng strings, and a spoken-word poet from the community shares memories of neighborhood market stalls. Panels of residents discuss how to preserve the heritage that shaped this corner of Montreal. In a city where old neighborhoods vanish, this gathering roots Chinatown's stories in the soil of the garden. Carl Dumont virtually at Kahetayan Lum Garden. Welcome back. Montreal native Sina Catterall was selected by Detroit in the Professional Women's Hockey League draft, prompting her to shift focus from baseball to hockey after a dual-sport upbringing. Ramai Gaudreau has the full story.
Detroit's Professional Women's Hockey League draft saw Montreal native Sina Catterall taken by the city's team, a move that shifts her athletic focus entirely to hockey. Catterall, who split her teenage years between the ice and the diamond, grew up in Pierrefonds Roxborough and switched sports each season. She earned a spot as Team Canada's starting center fielder before deciding to enter the women's hockey draft. The Detroit selection prompted her to put baseball on hold and commit to a professional hockey career. At 24, she now prepares for training camp with the Detroit franchise, leaving her baseball future uncertain. She first laced up skates at 5, then swapped to baseball each summer, collecting provincial awards before securing a spot on the national roster. Ramai Gaudreau, GMNA News, Detroit.
Journalist Jean-François Cloutier of the Journal de Montreal announced his Parti Québécois candidacy for the Montreal riding on 7 August 2026. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
Jean-François Cloutier, a veteran reporter with the Journal de Montreal, stepped onto a podium in the heart of the Montreal riding on August 7, 2026, to declare his intention to run under the Parti Québécois banner. He outlined his motivation to bring a journalist's perspective to the National Assembly, emphasizing local issues such as transit, education, and the preservation of French language services on the South Shore. The announcement drew a modest crowd of supporters and fellow party members who listened as Cloutier pledged to campaign door-to-door across the constituency. He concluded by thanking the community for its confidence and inviting volunteers to join the effort. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Montreal.
Thanks for joining us, Montreal. Today's 16-day river shoreline cleanup launch reminded us how community action can reshape our city's future. We appreciate your watch and look forward to bringing you more stories tomorrow. Stay safe, stay curious, and see you back on the lunch break.